So we are right in the middle of Major League Baseball's World Series. Any baseball fans out there? I love baseball, and we are in the final games of the entire season, and I just love it. I love baseball all the way from the beginning of spring training all the way to the last out of the World Series. And if we were filming ourselves, which for this assignment we aren't, but if I was on camera right now, you better believe you would see me with my Yankee hat on. And even though my favorite team, the Yankees, they didn't make it this year, I still want to talk about one of the best players to ever wear the Yankee uniform and who is actually the best closer in Major League Baseball history, period, and that is Mariano Rivera. But before he became a baseball legend, Mariano came from a very humble beginning. He was born in a small fishing village in Panama called Puerto Caimito, and his dad was a fisherman. And here's a picture. Uh, in this one, his dad is not actually in this one, but his uncle is. And actually, you can see in the background a few fishing boats. And so that's kind of the vibe that he grew up in. You know, he was doing various things like repairing nets, catching fish, processing fish, but he didn't grow up dreaming about fame and fortune or anything like that. He just loved playing baseball with whatever he could find. Sometimes he would even use like a milk carton for a glove and a stick for a bat. And here's another picture. Here's a picture of some local kids playing baseball in the street. And you can see that they're using a stick for a bat. And that's just shows us, how little they had and what he had, growing up. But before we go any further, I said something about Mariano being a closer. And so let's back up for a second. You might be wondering, all right, Bishop, what is a closer? Those of you who are not too familiar with baseball. A closer is a pitcher who comes in at the very end of the game. It's usually in the ninth inning or the final innings of the game when their team is winning. And their job is simple. Do not let anybody score. And it's really one of the most pressure-packed positions or roles in baseball. I mean, think about it. I mean, one mistake and the other team, they could win. And here's a picture. You can see Mariano coming onto the field. And if you look closely behind him, you can see you can't see the whole scoreboard, but you can see the part where it's the ninth inning and they're winning. And so there he is coming in to, quote, close out the game, end quote, like he had done so many times in his career. And, here's something kind of fun and interesting. When he would come out, when they were in Yankee Stadium, the stadium would play the song Enter Sandman from Metallica. And it was what it meant was kind of like, all right, for the other team, good night. The Sandman's coming and you're going to be going to bed. But whatever it really meant, it just got the crowd going crazy. You can just imagine hearing that song with 50,000 people in a stadium when they knew that 99.9% of the time when Mariano's coming out, they're going to win. So here's where it kind of gets amazing in his career. In 1997, Mariano discovered his quote-unquote signature pitch, end quote, totally by accident. It was totally unintentional, but what happened was one day he was warming up when suddenly the ball started moving, very erratically. And it would, quote unquote, cut. That's why they call it the cutter. It would cut sharply at the last second. And what they realized is that if he held the ball in a certain way and he put certain or actually different amounts of pressure on each finger and threw it, that it would cut in a way that people have never seen before. And that's how the cutter, quote unquote, that's the name of the pitch, was born. And what it does, it looks like it's coming straight down the middle, but then it moves away right before it reaches the plate, just enough to miss the bat or to break it. And batters knew it was coming, but they still couldn't hit it. And some guys would even say that it was unfair, like it had a mind of its own. But the hardest thing about it was that the cutter would come out of his arm at the same angle, the same arm speed as his fastball. So you had no idea what was coming because the ball looked like it was a fastball, but then it would be a cutter. And by the time the batters realized it before it got to the plate, it was just way too late. So that pitch really made Mariano Rivera nearly, not 100%, but nearly unstoppable. He became the go-to guy when the game was on the line. And in Yankee Stadium, whenever the song Enter Sandman came on and started playing, the Yankee fans, they just knew that it was over. And so after 19 incredible seasons and 652 career saves, more than anybody in Major League Baseball history, Mariano Rivera retired in 2013, and in 2019, he became the very first player to be voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame unanimously. And what that means is that it simply means that every single voter agreed. And they agreed that he was one of the greatest of all time. And so to kind of talk about that, you have to have so many percentage of votes to get in. And he got 100%, which is unheard of. But after all that success, Mariano never stopped being humble. He gives back to his community. He gives back to baseball. He builds churches. He helps families. And he uses his platform to make a difference. And he was once quoted saying, quote, "Everything I have comes from God," end quote. And honestly, that's what makes him so special. His faith, his love of baseball, his passion for his community. And, it's just not the way he played the game or threw the baseball or how dominant he was. It was the way that he lives his life. So even though my Yankees aren't in the World Series this year, it's hard to complain when you've had a legend like Mariano Rivera on your team, and he was just so hugely successful. A man who showed that talent, it might get you noticed, but it's character that will make you unforgettable. Oh yeah, and one last thing. Go Yankees!